Hi, everybody. My name is Brian Harris, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of MedRhythms. We're a company based in Portland, Maine, that is building medical devices to help people recover from brain injuries using music. Now, I would typically start these presentations by asking you all to think about the power of music. Now, I imagine that many of you sitting there have taken some level of music classes or private lessons, whether that be piano or guitar or drums, or maybe it's violin or flute. And then when I ask you the question, what is the power of music? Many people think about how music certainly makes us feel good. It can make us feel sad, it can make us feel happy, it can make us feel relaxed, it can get our adrenaline going. I think about if any of you exercise, how many of you exercise using music? Probably most of us. And we've known for centuries that music has power. And that idea that music has power is the basis for why MedRhythms exists. See, my background is in the neuroscience of music, and actually how that neuroscience of music can be clinically applied to help people recover from brain injuries. What we've recently found in this literature about music is not only does music have the power to make us feel certain emotions, we call that social science, or the social science of music. That music has a power to make us feel a certain way. But now, through advancements in science and neuroimaging, we now understand the objective power that music has to make an impact on the human brain. Regardless of age, or culture, or ability, or disability, everybody's brain responds the same to music. What this research has shown us is that when we just passively listen to music that we like, so perhaps your favorite music is Beyonce or Bruno Mars, or maybe it's Johnny Cash or Frank Sinatra, that when we listen to that music, it engages the parts of our brain that are responsible for telling our body to move, to tell our body to speak, to tell our body to think, to remember. All of these things are activated when we listen to music. And there's no other stimulus on earth that engages our brain as globally as music does. They've also shown that through this research, that when we engage in music, so engage in music lessons, learning music, that this actually aids in the process of neuroplasticity. And neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to strengthen new connections as you age, or create new connections, or strengthen old connections throughout your entire life. Neuroplasticity is the reason why, as you go through school, that you can learn new things. It's the reason why we can learn new things throughout our entire lives. Neuroplasticity is also the reason why, when people who have brain injuries, that they can actually recover because their brain is able to make connections around the injuries to help them improve. So it's actually been shown through research that music not only activates our brain like nothing else on earth, but it also can impact the brain's ability to heal itself. And that's the power of music that we've leveraged at MedRhythms. My background is as a board-certified music therapist with an advanced training in the neuroscience of music and how that can be clinically applied to help people recover things like movement and language and attention and memory, following diseases like Parkinson's disease, stroke, multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's, across the board. I started my career at Spaulding Rehab Hospital in Boston, which is one of the top rehab hospitals in the country, where I started their music therapy program. I've always been a musician, and I've always loved music, but I always wanted to find a way to use music to help people in a very clear and novel way. And that's what drove me to get into the field. And when I learned about music therapy and I learned about the power that music has on the human brain, I was hooked. So I became a music therapist, started this program at Spaulding, and what we quickly found was that people were getting better faster, with greater results, and we now had the neuroscience to not only explain how it was possible, but also how we replicate it. Where we were seeing a lot of clinical results was in an intervention that we call rhythmic auditory stimulation, which essentially is the use of music to improve walking. So research has shown that as human beings, when we walk to music, so try to walk to the beat of the music, that it actually improves our quality of walking. That the rhythm can actually activate the center of our brain that's responsible for movement to tell our body to move in a higher quality way. What's really incredible about this is people who have damage to that part of the brain that's responsible for movement. We call it the motor system. This is very common in stroke, in traumatic brain injury, in Parkinson's disease, and MS, that when they have the injury to the brain, that it impacts the way that they move. When people have these challenges with movement, that it's been shown that when they walk to rhythm, it can actually improve the way that they walk, improve their quality of walking, improve their speed, improve their control, improve their balance, to help them over time actually recover how they walk. And that's called rhythmic auditory stimulation. So very quickly after starting this program at Spalding, we were receiving a lot of demand for these services, both in the hospital and through patients and their family members who were asking me, Brian, once I leave the hospital, how do I get more of this care? And at the time, the answer was that there's nothing that you can do. And as a clinician, that was a very difficult conversation for me to have because there just aren't many music therapists out there in the world who can provide this care. And so that's what motivated me to start MedRhythms, to say, how do we replicate this intervention and allow it to have access to more people? And that's what continues to motivate me today, to figure out how do we help more people with the power of music. So we started MedRhythms with that mission in mind, and we've actually developed a program that uses sensors that connect to the shoe, that collect all of the data about how somebody walks, and then an app on a smartphone that can then change music in real time to improve the way that people walk, administering rhythmic auditory stimulation without the need of a clinician present. And as I think about what motivates me day to day, it's really that impact of how can we bring this to more people. We're now in the midst of large-scale clinical trials working with some of the top hospitals in the country, and we're seeing incredible results. And that continues to motivate me every single day. But as I think about starting the company, I've always had this need about wanting to start this as a way of helping people, but I'm a clinician by training. I'm not naturally an entrepreneur. I'm not naturally a business person. But that's when I met my co-founder, Owen McCarthy. And Owen McCarthy has an engineering background and also a business background. He went to Harvard Business School and got an MBA. And we've luckily been friends for a very long time. And so we decided to team up to bring his expertise in business and engineering and strategy and operations, along with my clinical expertise, to build what is now MedRhythms. We started about 2015, and Owen has been an amazing mentor, asset, and collaborator in this to help us move this forward. Because as we think about creating a big, impactful company, I think as you think about some of those technologies that you use, whether they're electronics or apps on your phone, you have reasons for why you love them, why you're engaged with them, why you use Facebook and TikTok and Snapchat all the time. But there are huge teams of people behind all of those products. It's not just one person, it's huge teams of people with different expertise that help to build those companies and build those products. And that's the process that we're in right now. Certainly could not do this without a group of people. The number one piece of success, I'd say, for any new company is to be open and to be networking and to make connections with as many people as possible. None of these new projects or new companies are built alone. They are all built in teams. And teams of people with diverse backgrounds and diverse expertise. On our team, we have people in backgrounds with technology and algorithms and software engineering, to people who are experts in the FDA in running clinical trials, who are doctors, who are neuroscientists, who are business people and strategy folks, really all across the spectrum. And that's the only way to have an impactful and successful company. And I would encourage you, as you think about what your career trajectory looks like, to think about and to encourage you to really sort of think about what might be possible in your own life and to really take the steps towards that. Don't be limited by what's already been done. One of the things that I always tell myself as we go forward day to day is just because it hasn't been done before doesn't mean it can't be done. And if we look at the greatest innovators in the world today, have all tackled problems that hadn't been solved before. And in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic that we're in right now, there's a lot of problems that need solving. And a lot of problems that need solving that have never been solved before. And so I encourage you to believe in yourself. I certainly did not start my career with the anticipation of becoming a CEO of a tech startup. That was the farthest from my trajectory of where I thought I was going to go. But I had a passion for wanting to make a difference in the world through music, and I took a chance. And I had a belief in myself that I could do it. And I encourage you to just believe in yourself that you can make an impact and to think big and think outside of things that have already been done so that you can make a difference and don't be afraid to fail. That's the last piece of advice I'll give you today, is that along this process of your career, of your life, you will do things wrong. You will make poor decisions. You'll make the wrong decisions. But what we need to be able to do to be successful is to be able to adapt to those decisions that we've made that were incorrect, and to be able to make those decisions fast in order to move on, and not to be weighed down by the failures, but to use those as learning opportunities about how to fix what we're doing into the future. So thanks for listening today. Happy to answer any questions if people have into the future. But I encourage you today, I hope that you're all getting through this pandemic as best as you can. And thank you for listening. Bye-bye.